The entertainment world has long been a breeding ground for controversy, but few stories have shaken the industry like the unraveling of Sean "Diddy" Combs' empire. Once seen as an untouchable mogul, Diddy now faces a growing storm of legal battles, personal scandals, and mounting allegations that threaten to dismantle his decades-long reign in Hollywood and the music world. As federal investigators reach out to potential witnesses, it becomes increasingly clear that Diddy's power may no longer be enough to protect him from the weight of his past. This saga is not just about fame and fortune. It's a tale of corruption, manipulation, and the stark reality of an empire on the brink of collapse. The legal avalanche, growing lawsuits, and federal investigations. Diddy's legal troubles have escalated at an alarming pace. It started with a trickle of lawsuits, but now they are coming fast and furious, each one more serious than the last. Allegations of sexual misconduct, abuse, and trafficking have surfaced, casting a dark shadow over the once gilded image of the music mogul. Federal investigators are reportedly digging deep into Diddy's business dealings, and it is now confirmed that potential witnesses are being contacted in connection with the ongoing investigations. The legal landscape is rapidly shifting, and it's clear that Diddy's previous reputation as a savvy businessman and cultural icon is now at odds with the growing pile of evidence against him. The most alarming development came when security footage surfaced, allegedly showing Diddy in a violent altercation at a Los Angeles club. The footage, which has reportedly been circulating among industry insiders, is not for the faint of heart. It is difficult to watch, with scenes of physical aggression and tense confrontations. The video is a stark contrast to the polished, charming persona that Diddy has spent decades cultivating in the public eye. What was once seen as a savvy and charismatic mogul is now being revealed through a much darker lens. The footage has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, and the growing backlash has left many questioning everything they thought they knew about one of the most powerful men in entertainment. Once a defender of his, industry insiders are now growing silent. The few remaining voices of support are starting to dwindle, and those who have long harbored suspicions about Diddy's character are now speaking out with an air of vindication. "We told you," one source recently said, alluding to the whispers that had long circulated about Diddy's alleged behavior behind closed doors. More people coming forward, a pattern of abuse and manipulation. As the legal drama unfolds, more individuals have begun to speak out, sharing their own disturbing accounts of interactions with Diddy. This is not a situation of one or two isolated incidents, but rather a growing chorus of voices, each one describing patterns of control, manipulation, and misconduct. What began as a trickle of accusations has now turned into a flood of testimony, with several former associates, industry insiders, and partygoers coming forward with their stories. Audrey English, a former guest at several of Diddy's infamous parties, has been one of the most vocal accusers. Her chilling account of her experiences at these events sheds light on the toxic and oppressive atmosphere that allegedly permeated Diddy's social circles. Initially, English thought that she was simply attending wild Hollywood parties, the kind that are infamous for their excess and debauchery. However, by the third event, she began to realize that something was not right. She described feeling like she was treated as little more than a spectacle, there for the amusement of Diddy and his guests, rather than being treated as a person. "It felt like I was just there for entertainment," English shared, "like I wasn't even a person." Her words echo the experiences of several others who have described a similar sense of objectification at Diddy's parties. The lavish settings, the glamorous guests, the flashing lights, it all masked a darker reality, where individuals were allegedly manipulated, used, and discarded. But English's story is far from unique. Another woman, April Arose, has claimed that she was recorded without her consent at one of Diddy's infamous parties, an accusation that raises serious concerns about privacy, consent, and personal agency. "I didn't agree to any of it. I didn't even know it was happening," Arose stated. In today's climate, where privacy and consent are critical issues, Arose's story is particularly damaging to Diddy's public image. Perhaps most troubling is the growing sense that for every person coming forward, there are countless others who have not yet spoken out. The culture of silence within the industry has long been acknowledged, with many individuals too afraid to publicly accuse powerful figures like Diddy for fear of career retribution or personal consequences. But now, in an era of greater accountability and heightened awareness of issues like consent and abuse, these stories are beginning to surface, and they are not being ignored. The role of 50 Cent, trolling, and the potential Netflix documentary. In the midst of all this turmoil, one person who has not been shy about capitalizing on Diddy's misfortune is rapper and entrepreneur 50 Cent. Known for his rivalry with Diddy, 50 Cent has been publicly trolling the mogul for weeks, taking pot shots at him on social media and in interviews. But now, the stakes have been raised. According to reports, 50 Cent is working on a documentary about Diddy, with Netflix reportedly backing the project. If the reports are true, the documentary could be one of the most explosive exposés of the year. The potential documentary promises to take a deep dive into the darkest corners of Diddy's empire, offering a detailed investigation into his alleged wrongdoings, business practices, and the people who have been affected by them. Industry insiders and former associates are reportedly being lined up to provide testimony, and the documentary is expected to paint a much darker picture of Diddy than the one the public has long been familiar with. 50 Cent's involvement in this project is no accident. The rapper has long had a contentious relationship with Diddy, and the documentary could serve as a vehicle for him to settle personal scores while also delivering a potentially career-defining piece of work. For Diddy, this project is the last thing he needs. As his empire is slowly dismantled, this documentary could become the final blow that knocks him off his pedestal. The pattern of abuse, allegations of control and manipulation. As more individuals come forward with their allegations, a clear pattern is emerging, a pattern of control, manipulation, and coercion. Rodney Jones, a former associate of Diddy's, has also shared his experiences working with the mogul, revealing a toxic and oppressive environment behind the scenes. It wasn't just about the music, Jones explained. It was about power, his power. According to Jones, Diddy's empire wasn't built simply on business acumen or creative vision, but on the manipulation of others. He wanted to control everything, from the people he worked with to the careers of those around him. Jones describes a work environment where resistance was not tolerated, where Diddy's word was law, and where those who challenged him were pushed to the margins. It wasn't about collaboration. It was about Diddy's way or the highway, Jones continued. And believe me, it got suffocating. For Jones, and likely for many others, working with Diddy was not about mutual success. It was about him maintaining total dominance. Jones's story is mirrored by others, including Joy Dickerson, who has accused Diddy of belittling and disrespecting her in professional settings. "It was like he didn't respect me as an equal," Dickerson shared. "It wasn't about working together. It was about him making me feel small, like I wasn't worth his time." Dickerson's account echoes the sentiment shared by several other individuals who have spoken out about the toxic power dynamics that allegedly existed within Diddy's empire. The fall of the mogul. Will Diddy survive? For years, Diddy has been seen as one of the most influential figures in the music industry, a man who built an empire from the ground up. But now, as the weight of multiple accusations threatens to bring him down, his legacy is in jeopardy. The growing number of people coming forward with disturbing stories, combined with the leaked security footage and the impending documentary, paint a troubling picture of a man who may have used his power to manipulate, abuse, and control others for decades. As the scandal continues to unfold, the big question remains: can Diddy survive this? Or is this the beginning of the end for one of the most successful moguls in hip-hop history? The evidence against him is piling up, and it's clear that Diddy's ability to control the narrative is slipping away. Former friends, associates, and industry insiders are turning their backs on him, and public opinion is shifting quickly. The once untouchable mogul is no longer immune to the consequences of his actions. The future of Diddy's empire remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the fallout from this scandal is far from over. With each passing day, more individuals are speaking out, more lawsuits are being filed, and more pieces of evidence are coming to light. The saga is unfolding like a real-life documentary, one that has the potential to reshape the music industry and change the way we view one of its most iconic figures. The initial allegations, a pattern emerges. As the case unfolded, it became clear that Jane Doe wasn't the only person making allegations against Diddy. Others have quietly come forward, some publicly, others still behind the scenes, corroborating her claims. The bigger picture that is starting to emerge suggests that Diddy, in his quest for power and control, has allegedly used his fame and wealth as tools of intimidation and manipulation, not just in romantic relationships, but in his business dealings as well. The nature of the claims is not simple. These are not just stories of broken hearts or hurt feelings. According to Jane Doe's legal filings, she was allegedly subjected to extreme emotional distress and psychological manipulation over an extended period of time. The picture that emerges is one of coercion, of a man using his immense power to not only control the women he was involved with, but also to silence them when they attempted to leave or stand up for themselves. This paints a picture of someone who, despite the apparent charm and charisma he presents publicly, has allegedly built a personal and professional empire on a foundation of fear, manipulation, and dominance. But what is perhaps most unsettling is the growing sense that this isn't just a string of random incidents. As more victims come forward, a clearer narrative starts to form, a narrative that suggests a deeply embedded culture of abuse that may have been allowed to flourish in plain sight for years, all while Diddy's public image remained untarnished. The catalyst, Cassie's breakup, and the cracks begin to show. Before diving further into the specifics of Jane Doe's case, it's essential to understand the moment that many believe was the catalyst for the unfolding storm: Diddy's very public breakup with singer Cassie Ventura. Their highly publicized split in 2018, after nearly a decade of being a power couple in the entertainment world, shook the industry. While their relationship had always seemed to be filled with passion and glitz, sources close to the couple have since suggested that there was much more going on behind the scenes, much of which had been hidden from the public eye. Cassie filed for divorce after years of what some have described as emotional strain and manipulation. Those who knew her best claimed that Cassie had become trapped in a cycle, unable to make her own decisions, whether they were related to her career or personal life. Insiders suggest that Diddy allegedly controlled every aspect of her life, shaping her career and even influencing the personal choices she made. While Cassie has remained tight-lipped about the full extent of the abuse she endured, the mere fact of her departure was seen by many as the first crack in Diddy's seemingly impenetrable empire. Could Cassie's departure have given others the courage to speak out? Many believe that it was at that very moment, when a successful and beloved woman chose to walk away, that others who had been similarly oppressed or manipulated realized they could finally break their silence. Cassie's defiance, the breaking of an unwritten rule in the entertainment industry about loyalty to the powerful, suddenly gave way to a flood of accusations and revelations about the true nature of Diddy's relationships with those around him. The Jane Doe lawsuit. A reckoning for Diddy. Enter the Jane Doe lawsuit. This is no longer just a scandal involving personal grievances. This is a legal case that could have wide-ranging implications for Diddy and his entire empire. The woman at the center of the case, who has chosen to remain anonymous, has accused Diddy of orchestrating a web of psychological abuse and manipulation that stretches back for years. The lawsuit, now in its ongoing stages, claims that Diddy didn't just exploit his fame and fortune for personal gain. He allegedly used them to maintain control over his victims and silence them when they tried to escape. The details of the case are as disturbing as they are damning. Jane Doe's accusations include claims of verbal abuse, threats, and emotional manipulation. According to her statements, Diddy allegedly threatened to ruin her career if she didn't comply with his demands, painting a picture of a man who believed that no one, especially women, could escape his grasp without facing consequences. Worse still, Jane Doe alleges that Diddy actively worked to isolate her from the support systems she had in place, ensuring that she was vulnerable and unable to resist his manipulations. As more people have come forward with similar allegations, the narrative has become harder to dismiss. These claims are no longer isolated incidents, but part of a broader and much more unsettling pattern that speaks to how Diddy allegedly used his status to dominate not just romantic relationships, but also professional networks, careers, and opportunities. The more people speak out, the harder it becomes to ignore the truth. Diddy's white parties, glamour or coercion? Before the legal battles, the rumors, and the courtroom drama, there were the legendary white parties, exclusive gatherings that Diddy hosted for his elite circle. These events were renowned for their opulence and star-studded guest lists. At the time, they symbolized success, wealth, and the power Diddy had cultivated over the years. Celebrities, artists, and industry figures from all walks of life attended, mingling in dazzling white attire, sipping champagne, and celebrating the pinnacle of Hollywood luxury. But behind these glitzy gatherings, whispers had long circulated that the parties were not just about socializing and luxury. According to numerous insiders, these events also served as a backdrop for darker power plays. There were reports that these parties were about much more than enjoying an extravagant evening. They were opportunities for Diddy to solidify his dominance and control over the industry's top names. While guests were undoubtedly treated to an unforgettable experience, some began to feel uneasy about the unspoken rules that seemed to govern the evening. These events were reportedly hand-picked, exclusive affairs. Only the most loyal and influential individuals were allowed entry. While they appeared to be designed to celebrate success and fame, insiders have claimed that they were also about control. Diddy allegedly used these parties to assess loyalty, recruit allies, and forge strategic relationships that further cemented his place in the entertainment industry's power structure. For Diddy, these gatherings were more than just celebrations. They were a calculated effort to maintain his influence over the people and networks that mattered most. The fall of an empire, the house raid, and legal woes. As the public outcries surrounding Diddy's alleged actions intensified, so too did the legal pressures against him. What seemed like an insurmountable public image, carefully constructed over decades, was beginning to crack. The authorities had taken notice, and in a shocking turn of events, Diddy's lavish $40 million mansion was raided by law enforcement officers. The scale of the raid was extraordinary. This wasn't a routine search. It was a meticulously planned operation, one that hinted at the seriousness of the charges being investigated. The raid was a stark contrast to the glamorous life that Diddy had worked so hard to build. Police were not there to admire the opulence of his estate, but to search for evidence to back up the mounting allegations against him. The fact that law enforcement took such a bold step, raiding the home of one of the most powerful figures in entertainment, underscores the gravity of the situation. As authorities dug deeper into Diddy's personal and professional life, they began to uncover troubling evidence that pointed toward a larger, more deeply rooted issue. This wasn't just about rumors anymore. It was about real, tangible evidence of misconduct, manipulation, and potential criminal behavior. The raid marked a turning point in the investigation, signaling that the law had finally caught up with a man who had spent years evading the consequences of his actions. The role of 50 Cent, a new twist in the saga. With each passing day, the pressure on Diddy continues to mount. Enter 50 Cent, one of the most outspoken figures in the entertainment industry. Known for his brash style and unapologetic persona, 50 Cent has made no secret of his disdain for Diddy. Recently, 50 Cent hinted at a major project in the works, a project that would, according to him, expose Diddy's darkest secrets to the world. In a bold statement, 50 Cent announced that he was working on a Netflix series that would shine a light on Diddy's alleged actions and provide an inside look into the dark underbelly of his empire. According to 50 Cent, the series would delve into the details of Diddy's manipulations, control, and the power dynamics he allegedly used to maintain his dominance in the industry. The series, which is expected to feature first-hand accounts from those who had witnessed or experienced Diddy's alleged behavior, promises to be a game-changer. If 50 Cent's project sees the light of day, it could prove to be the tipping point in Diddy's downfall. A downfall that's already in motion with each new revelation. The final countdown. Will Diddy's empire survive? As the investigation into Diddy's actions intensifies and more victims come forward, the once imposing empire built by the mogul is facing its most significant crisis yet. Legal experts are starting to weigh in, suggesting that this could be the moment Diddy can no longer rely on his wealth and influence to avoid the consequences of his actions. With figures like 50 Cent actively working on exposing Diddy's alleged wrongdoings, the pressure on the entertainment mogul has never been more relentless. It's clear that Diddy's carefully crafted public image is crumbling, and with every new revelation, the cracks in his empire grow deeper. The looming question remains: will Diddy face the full brunt of the law for his alleged abuses, or will his years of power and influence allow him to weather yet another scandal? His empire, once considered untouchable, is now teetering on the edge of collapse. As more individuals step forward with their own stories, the narrative surrounding Diddy is shifting from one of success to one of vulnerability. The future of his empire hangs in the balance, and only time will tell whether Diddy can reclaim his position at the top or if he will be dragged down by the weight of the mounting allegations.